Strong looks different for each of us, and it's time to put focus on our unique journeys that get us there. This space created weekly is for athletes to improve their mindset in order to better navigate challenges that come up in sport and in different seasons of life. On this show, we ask the questions that lead to better answers and have the conversations that truly matter. This is the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Becoming Your Strong podcast. I am so excited. I just spent the last couple minutes of my life catching up with a woman that I have never met before, but she has been in the space for the last couple of years. And when I mean the space, the DEKA World, I am so excited, you guys, to bring to you a guest that I don't think many of us know, but I'm so excited for all of us to get to know her through this. Shannon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. First one ever.
Yes, first one ever. And she was recommended by someone else in the community. And the whole concept behind this was to get just someone that's going through a different season of life on the podcast. Shannon competes in the Masters division in DEKA. And I don't want to give, all the things that we kind of chatted about before away before we get there. But Shannon, I'm just excited for you to be able to share your story, any tips and tricks, things that are on your heart, messages that you want to share with our listeners today, whether they find themselves in the Masters category or whether they're just, they're working their way up in the ranks, both in life and just in DEKA in general. So with that, do you want to share with us just a little bit more of like your story and how you sort of got into hybrid racing in general?
Okay. So, I can go way back. I was born on a stormy June night. No, we won't go that far back. I know we were chatting before we started. Like, this DEKA was honestly an absolute surprise. 61 years old and suddenly discovering that I loved something and I was good at it at the same time. So the backstory is I grew up in a home where we really focused on lifestyle sports, music, those kinds of things. So I never really got to explore competitive athleticism or team athleticism or anything. Headed away to college, found a weight room and started lifting weights, running. So then, we're talking years of just different types of exercise. Always loved being physical. I know I was saying to you, had I had the chance, I might have been a farmer. That would have been a preference where I could spend the day outside with animals and working hard. But what happened is I met my husband. I should have done math here, 35 years ago in a gym. So he was the general manager of a health club, met him on a member appreciation night. And I won't go into much more detail, but that was kind of it. So we've been together since then. And we've both had a focus in our lives on fitness, but literally completely different paths. So I was always about running, exercise that involved copious amounts of sweating, high intensity, that kind of stuff. And lifting weights was secondary. And then he was always the weightlifting guy. And we were heading away for our first vacation after kids. So we have a 21-year-old and a 24-year-old. And I was telling him, body composition not changing. Nothing is going back to how it used to be. And he's like, stop running, start lifting. And he didn't mean stop running. He meant take the running, add in the lifting, and then you have a good combination. And that was when so I was coming 45, when I really started to lift weights and enjoy the athletics in that regard. Fast forward some more years, we're busy raising kids, doing our own thing. And part of our story, my story is our story because it's very much shared with my spouse. We'd never exercised together. In fact, I don't even think we'd ever been to the gym together. We just were so different in our focus. And we had gone through, anybody's been married 30 years, you have times when things don't work well. We had gone through a particularly difficult time. It was kind of a dark time. And I remember thinking, at that point, I was doing an Orange Theory workout here and there. And I was like, I'm going to drag him to Orange Theory with me. So we went. He went very begrudgingly because it involved two things, sweating and running, right? Neither of which he was interested in. And we started to go one day a week, which was really therapeutic for us. I will tell couples, this is a little side rabbit hole. I think exercise can be as therapeutic for a relationship as counseling, but we won't go down there. But then we started to compete at Orange Theory because he was a really bad runner and I was faster than him. And then we did a dry try. I don't know if you're familiar with the Orange Theory.
Oh, yeah.
Did the dry try, and he's like, that was fun. And he did very well. And then he said to me, I'm going to go look for something else we could do together. And I'm like, okay. So then I get this request one night at dinner, hey, would you go do a fitness test training kind of thing with me called DEKA? And I was like, what? So obviously we're in Canada. We don't have a lot of opportunity here, but we have the Richmond Oval used to host. They don't now, and this is unfortunate, I think. They hosted the miles and the strongs.
Yeah.
So we pulled up there one Saturday morning. We had watched Kevin's videos. So we knew each station, we knew what we were getting into in the sense of kind of knowing, and each logged a time that put us top 10 in our age group on the global leaderboard. And we were like just hooked. After that, then they hosted a mile and we ran the mile. And we there by that time we had figured out that you could do this individually and as a team. So that day we did each a mile and we did a team mile, which once again we qualified again. And then now we're hooked, right? So then we went to Florida, to Ocala in the September before 2024 Worlds. Each ran a fit there and then did a team fit, qualified, and then went to Worlds. And so I can keep going, but that's kind of, it was really cool to just find this thing that I felt like fit, like this, so simple, no skill other than hard work and learning the stations. And when I say skill, I mean, it's not like complex moves or coordinated yeah. So that's kind of that's where it began. So.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like you had some success at 2024 World Champs.
Yeah. So I had such bad performance anxiety because, as I've told you, no athletics in my growing up, that I basically hyperventilated in the airport. We had a layover on our way there. Yeah. I couldn't actually, the first race for 2024 would have been me running the fit. And then Sheldon, my husband, would have run his, and then we would have done the team. I couldn't register for the fit. I couldn't do it. I was too anxious. I said, if we're going to go, I have to start. The first race has to be us at that start line together. So the first race we ran as a team, the fit, and we took gold. So that was like a really great way to start the weekend, right? Still so much performance anxiety. Oh my goodness. And what I've learned from talking to this group of women that I'm wonderfully embedded in, that never goes away.
No, it doesn't.
You just learn to, well, and then I know you had asked me, what was one of the things that was the biggest, the coolest accomplishment. Obviously the next morning in 2024 Worlds was, Saturday's the mile. So now I have to line up by myself Saturday morning at that mile, right? And I was in a solid third all the way through, and I was just thrilled. I was like, I got this. I could be standing on a podium. And then I came out of the sled in first, and then burpee off, right? And I'll get emotional, like sitting on that mat with my husband standing there looking at me. He goes, do you know that you just won gold? And I'm like, I've never won anything in my life, and here I am. So for me, the DEKA has been this, I don't know, it's like I can't even explain it. At this age, to feel the competency of doing the events, plus the joy in the community, and then the kind of the cherry on top was having done as well as I did. So
yeah, you mentioned too that, again, athletics was not necessarily your background growing up. You played the trombone growing up, right? Yeah. And so to go from that to now being athletic and winning something at a national, worldwide level, I can't even imagine that moment for you.
Yeah, like we were, my husband, I don't think I'm telling any tales he wouldn't be uncomfortable with. He is not an emotional guy. And we were very emotional because he knew how hard I'd worked, and he watched the anxiety, right? Because when you don't grow up, I mean, I'm assuming there is a comfort that comes when you grow up with athletics and performing and losing and winning. And I had none of that. I just had this kind of sense that there was an athletic person inside this body, but never having explored it. It was just the coolest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure. And
yeah.
you mentioned the performance anxiety and how it
Oh,
never goes away. You just get better at tolerating it and dealing with it. So I'm curious to know, now we're a few years into this from 2024, you're shaking your boots. You're like, I'm not taking on the fit right now by myself. I'll wait till teams, to now where you've been to 2 world championships. We're heading into 2026. Like, how have you learned to maybe deal with some of that performance anxiety?
I think I've let go. Like I think it mattered so much in that those first couple of times. Now I've learned. And I'm going to segue here for a minute. You're. I listened to your podcast on the Phoenix High Rocks,
Yeah.
and that the joy of being there, the joy of running that race on your own, the grin on your face. I think that's where what I've learned now is that at this age, I don't actually really. It's we kind of joke about it at our house. You get to an age where you just don't care how
Yeah.
you're perceived anymore, right? You're good with who you are. I think it's the joy of the journey has been for me, how I deal with it. The like I we did worlds, which went super good. Came back, and then we each were doing an individual high rocks because high rocks came here to Vancouver in two
So
days
fun.
before Christmas. Great timing, right?
Yep.
And that there was I was zero expectations. For me, that day was about the joy of doing this thing. Just doesn't matter. DEKA High Rocks, it's the same. It's putting your body through the paces and having it show up and do the work. That I don't know if it 2026 Worlds, which I'm hoping we qualify for DEKA. Oh, I'll have the same performance anxiety. That's like that. That's the thing you've waited all year for, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah. The joy of the journey is literally everything. And that's why I
yeah,
talk about this so often. It's like you got to take capture of the starting line, the thoughts that are on the starting line, right? Are you thinking about the millions of things that could go wrong? Or are you thinking of the millions of blessings that could come
oh yeah,
instead? How many you've already been granted, right? And like looking around and seeing the people in the starting corral with you that are just as nervous, but like we get to go out and experience this together, strangers or not, and I agree with you. I think it really is about just taking a moment to say, hey, I see you, I hear you, I understand
yeah.
because it's important to you. But let's look at the beauty, not at all of the things that could go south. And that takes a lot of practice to get done correctly.
And I know I've said this. You wouldn't have heard me say it, but I said it to everybody as we crossed finish lines at the 2025 Worlds. If you're over 60, and this is what you're choosing to do with your spare time, you are the 1% of the 1%.
Heck yeah.
Like, and just enjoy that. Like, it isn't. Of course it's a race. We're all there. There's a ranking and there's a time and there's this and that. But to me, that isn't the point. The point is this has changed. I wouldn't say it's changed me, but there's just such a sense of comfort in the sense that I'm strong. I'm. You go to the gym and you look at people half your age. Mostly what they're doing is looking at their phone, waiting for the next 5 reps of whatever. This gives such purpose and such intentionality to every workout, which also I think at this age, somebody told me once, and I don't think I'm quite at that age yet, I'm not 80, but that if your life is busy looking forward, you're young. And if you're busy looking back, you're old. And this has opened up so many opportunities, and there's constantly something else I'm thinking about. Like you would, there's always that next thing. And I think that's very good
Cool.
at this age.
Yeah.
I've never finished a race yet, even if it was just a sim we've done together at the gym, my husband and I, or the high rocks or the DEKA, where you don't finish and 10 seconds later, you're like, you know what I'm going to do better next time? You know
Mhm.
what I'm going to do different next time? Right?
Yeah.
Which, yeah, yeah,
What a beautiful view of that. Like, I think
yeah,
that goes for anyone. Like, and that's such a great meter of like, are you actually living life? Are you spending so much time looking backwards? Or are you spending time looking at
yeah,
all the things that are in front of you? Like, that's priceless. I love that.
yeah. I, okay, next time you're chatting with somebody over the age of 70 or 75, notice what they talk about. If they're talking about all the things like, um, my husband's parents are two of my favorite people on earth. Both, they never talk about yesterday. They're too busy planning what they're doing next and where they're going. And it like it just and it to me it resonates with a life perspective. And that's even something like this. So you take 10 stations. There is always something you can be working on. Your for me, running has been probably my biggest Achilles. Um, I have been affectionately told I run like a penguin.
Oh, that's fun. That's a fun gait style. I love that.
No, no, definitely not. And I like so I'm always working on that, and I'm always like, there's always something that you're working on. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
I love that. And speaking of something that you're always working on, now that you've had a couple of years, this isn't when you expected for this to happen in this season of life, right, for you to be athletic, but now that you've had a couple of years in DEKA and hybrid racing, just everything in general, I have to imagine there have been some lessons that you've learned that maybe you apply to training or to life or things of that sort. Like, are there any that stick out to you like, whoa, this is the biggest one that has really changed the way that I approach things?
oh, you even sent me. I um I think probably two things that with patience and work, you're way more capable than you've ever imagined. Um, Not necessarily on day one. I'm going to be 63 in June, and I am still making gains at the gym. So and I'm still improving running. To me, there's with determination, there's always something that's going to be better. I think, but the other thing that I've learned is just don't sweat the small stuff. Like there is no one workout that's going to make or break. I'm always dealing with something hurting right now. There's always a little sniggly something
That's a whole
that's,
nother conversation, right?
yeah. And that you just keep going. Just, I don't know. I, I think one of the most empowering thing for women is to accomplish something like that DECA strong. You don't even have to run. I just biggest lesson I've learned. I don't know. I think I'm way, way more confident um, in everything just from the sense of accomplishment. I think
Yeah,
maybe
for
that's,
sure. For sure. And I think that's wonderful. I think even just what you said about patience, like
yeah,
that is like the one word that sticks out to me because we talk about enjoying the journey and patience is a big part of that.
yeah,
So I'm sure that there's been moments of impatience and
yeah,
having
yeah,
to walk through that, especially like just even being frustrated of like, man, I wish I did started this when I was younger and I wonder where I would be now. But when it comes to patience, like are there how have you dealt with that? How have you sort of like I don't want to say patience, well, actually patience is a skill. How have you built that skill over the last couple of years?
So the patience that comes. So this is that thing where I've it doesn't. I don't want to be dismissive of other stages of life, but the older I get, the more sense of comfort there is in the ebb and flow of life, right? I mean, I've raised two kids almost. They're almost gone. I've I've buried a mom. Unfortunately this is my second marriage. I've there's so much life that is lived. I can't, you know, what's funny is the one thing is you said to me, wish I'd started this earlier. That's never crossed my mind. There's never been a time when I thought, oh, I wish I had done this sooner. The timing of all of it was just very, um, to me, and then I'll take a very fast segue. Foundation of my life, relationship with Christ, follower of Jesus. He's just like the bedrock of everything. And all of the pieces, like that Orange Theory workout that led to the thing that led to the DEKA, there was this path that healed a marriage at the same time as the athletic thing. So I just feel like I'm just exactly where I'm supposed to be at this point. So there is I'm not a patient person, by the way. If you said to me, "Are you a patient person?" No, not at all. But I've just really learned to enjoy the journey, and maybe it's because I see the, at 62, which I am right now, you can see, okay, 80 isn't that far. I mean, 80 felt like far for my whole life, and now it doesn't. So there's just a peace in exactly where I'm at with life, in the training. That doesn't mean when a training session doesn't go as planned, I'm not
Little peep. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's where that's that competitive thing, right? If you didn't care, you wouldn't be putting yourself through this, because this training is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
No, those
No.
burpees,
No.
those RAM burpees never get easy.
I kind of like them, but that everyone's got their strengths and weaknesses. So,
and I would say Sheldon creates our training plans, and I've said to him, I think I'm probably have trained at a different intensity because of being with him. So he's qualified. He's taken this to a whole extra level. He's like qualified for his age category to Worlds, High Rocks. We did qualify as a team to go to Worlds. He's really, so I'd say he's my coach in the sense, and he's better at telling me to lay off. I mean, it's good. You're good. So maybe I'm not as patient as I'd like to think I am. He's good at putting the perspective in there.
Yeah. Well, here's what I've come to learn about negative thoughts, patience, anything in that realm is you're not a bad person because you have negative thoughts. You're not a bad person because, you want something so bad and you're wondering when your moment's going to be when you have it. Like those intrusive thoughts, they're going to happen. We're built that way, especially if we've habitually been this way for several years of our life. Like that's part of our DNA, whether we like it or not. But it's the ability to say, okay, I see you, I hear you, I accept you, but I'm going to shift. I'm going to turn the volume down here and I'm going to perspective shift. And whether that's happening from someone else that's helping on the outside or whether that's you, and you're able to say, yep, that like, this is where I need to be. Like, I think the most powerful thing that you've said so far was just like, I haven't wished to be here any sooner because I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be because I've been witnessing the right things falling in place at the right times. And I talk about that all the time. Like as long as I trust the process and I show up for myself and I'm 100% me, the right outcomes in my life are going to come. Will I have to go through really crappy circumstances to get there? Probably. Because nothing that's worth having is going to be given to you easily. But I truly believe that's whether it's the universe, the higher power, whatever it is you believe in, like just keep on that road and enjoy the road and you'll find yourself exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like, the more you do hard things, the easier the hard things get. And then I know this is a David Goggins thing, isn't it? Do hard things. Isn't that his saying?
I think so. Yeah. He's a lot to listen to sometimes.
I know. And so that's where I want to be very careful here because I don't think that means that I need to go take my two knees that need to be replaced and go run 300 miles on them. Okay.
Yep, nope.
Or whatever. But like when you go to the gym and you do those burpees, as awful as they are, and when you're done, you're like, there's this an infinitesimal little thing that occurs inside of you that says you did that. What's the next thing you can do? And that's what I think the DEKA does. And I'm disappointed we can't find there's no events in Western Canada. So we are flying to Toronto because my in-laws live there, so I get to
Yeah,
see them.
that's fun.
And I know I went down a rabbit hole. You'll find if you talk to me for very long, there's squirrel
Yeah,
conversation.
that's fine.
We're going to fly to Toronto for one day. We're both doing a DEKA Strong. We're both doing a DEKA Mile, and then we're doing a team DEKA Strong and a team mile because we have to do all our qualification for Worlds in one day. And I'm like, that's going to be a hard day, but I'm looking forward to it because of the training. You're like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to be able to do it. But but you wouldn't get there. So we have to do a few sets of RAM burpees now a day to get ready for that, right?
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. So actually, I would love to dig into that a little bit too, because what you said was super powerful around like there's just that little voice or
Yeah.
that's something inside of you that says, wow, you actually just did the thing. And it
Yeah.
almost like takes the token and puts it in the confidence bucket.
Yeah.
So when it comes to being like mentally sharp, do you find that you're doing most of like your mental like mindset based training in the gym, in like your training itself, or do you find yourself outside of the gym also like, okay, I'm listening to this person, I'm reading this, like what does that process look like for you?
Um, as I said a couple times, I'm an outside person, right? And by beautiful coincidence, I live close to this little nature area. In fact, this morning on my walk, I watched a bald eagle eat a fish for breakfast. Like I have
That's
this
interesting.
very cool. But so my morning, I just every day is or as often as possible, I start with my devotions, quiet time, and then this walk in nature. And I don't know, there's something about being outside and whether it's raining, because we have a lot of that here, or cold or warm, just outside, to me, that really just, I would say, creates almost like a centering, like to my day. But I wouldn't know if that keeps me mentally sharp or that keeps me mentally sound. Like it's just the grounding of my day, right? And then workouts, oh, I would say 9 out of 10. I'm like, do I really have to go? And it's just a decision. You just go. And when it's done, like you said, that I love that. You put one more token in the confidence box. I did it. Mentally sharp. I do a lot of reading, a lot of listening to audiobooks. I try to avoid doom scrolling, but I think we all, um, I just have multiple relationships in my life that are very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Supportive, enduring, complex, and wonderful. So I just, that helps me too. But the workout is like, I get up in the morning and you figure out before you get the rest of your day going where that's fitting. And I'm going to assume that's probably the same for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's while you were talking, I was thinking, arguably, the training session is probably the easiest part. The
Once
hardest
you're
part,
there. Yeah.
once you're there, once you're doing it, that's the easiest part. The hardest part is not giving into the I don't want to hurt, I don't want to feel
Yeah.
that because I know it's about to. Like I find myself battling in my head more. I'm like, if you just shut up, you could get it done and then it's over. Like, the amount of time you spent talking yourself out of doing something you could have been done. So I don't know if you experience that too, but it's hard.
I feel really grateful. Once again, my husband and I never darkened the door of a gym together ever until now. And now there's, and I know not everybody has that. So I don't want to be, um, there's just a buddy system. If there's anybody that even shares remotely the same trajectory for either an athletic goal or a time to be at the gym, I think that accountability has made a big difference for me. I'm a disciplined person. I'm going to go to the gym regardless. But man, does it make it better when you're not the only one that's heading there. So I would, and like I said, I have to be careful because I know not everybody has that opportunity. I feel very grateful for that, but you're right. Just get it done. The worst thing you can do is postpone. Nothing like going to the gym at 8 o'clock at night when you could have been there at 6, right?
Yeah, seriously. But
Yeah.
I even think too, like, and this is kind of a testament, for example, to the underdog team. We were just talking about the call. You were kind of trying to understand how underdog is built.
Yeah.
We're all over the freaking world. And so
Yeah.
like I have some girls that are out in Wisconsin that are like way all across the board. I'm lucky to be here in Colorado where I've built a local team of like 6 to 7 of us, but I still think that there, while maybe you can't be in the gym with someone, there's still always an opportunity to connect, have an accountability buddy,
Uh-huh.
but also how many maybe other opportunities are you robbing yourself of maybe not going and finding community or joining a gym because I don't know, whatever the excuse might be, when really the community what could actually make you level up. Like I wonder how many people are sabotaging themselves in that way by not joining something.
I agree. Like I think when you become part of something, so the and that's actually part of what's disappointing about kind of the lack of DEKA events here is it even something where you've signed up and you've met somebody like you've like as a this group of women now we've kind of stayed connected on text. Those of us who met this last year at World and somebody's going to do this and has a question about that and we log in. That it's not creating daily accountability. Obviously, we're not tracking whether each other is going to the gym, but it's a community that you're looking forward to seeing again and competing with, and so I think that's great. But keeping mentally sharp, I know I'm rounding back to that again. I'm actually just afraid that I'm not because of my age, but I'm doing everything I can to do it right. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure there's ways that you are staying mentally sharp that maybe aren't coming to mind at this point in time. I do find that like 9 times out of 10, though, while we think the training is moving the physical meter, it is, but it's actually moving the mental meter more than we know and more than we think. So I think that's where a lot of us are doing that training. Just wasn't sure if there was other things that you're like, oh yeah, like I'm involved in this or I do that, and it's
No.
okay if you're not. There's maybe opportunity there for that too.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
agree with that. So in my family history, there is a fair bit of dementia, Alzheimer's, always on the women's side, and from all the research I've done, and you would probably have done more and know more just with your background, that keeping your mind sharp is happens at the gym when you're lifting weights, when you're running, when you're exercising. That's what's doing the work of replenishing mind, not just learning something new. I mean, I'm always game to try something new, which I know supposedly keeps you mentally sharp. My husband and I went um, fat tire biking a few weeks ago in the
That's
snow.
fun. Okay.
Oh, it was awful. Terrible.
It sounded
So
fun, but it was awful.
take mountain biking, which takes a certain amount of skill, which I don't have, add in a layer of deep, heavy snow, and then get a bike that looks really fun, looks like a big toy, and then try to maneuver those trails. Oh my goodness. I spent an hour and a half in a snowbank, and then I would get up a little more, an hour and a half. But I remember I said to you right at the beginning of our kind of connecting that this was my year to say yes. So I said yes, not saying yes again, but it was a challenge. But I think that as you're even that trying new things keeps you mentally sharp,
Yep.
right? I think it does.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think that's a great way to kind of segue into the end of the podcast. I know that I asked you, like, hey, if there is someone that's sitting on the sidelines of their life that are thinking, I'm too old to do this, my time has passed, they've doubted themselves, like, what's something that you would share with them based off of your experiences?
You are never too old. Like, honestly, as I said, no, other than just personal athletics for all my life, who would have thought that in my 60s I would have had success? And, we were talking about it last night, my husband and I, because I said, like, I want to say something meaningful. Honestly, th- this is like the best decade because you've started to figure things out. So if somebody my age, if some if there's a woman my age that says, hey, I've always wanted to, never have, you just start. You just find something very simple. Lifting a 5 pound weight, and then 2 weeks later lifting a 7.5 pound weight. And then like, that's where it starts. You are never too old. I would recommend just start somewhere. Like, I've enjoyed this beyond. I just was so surprised at this age. And I would tell anybody who says it's too late, it is never too late. I mean, maybe not, maybe DEKA isn't your thing, but it's never too late. If there's always been something that you wanted to learn, something you wanted to explore, and I know we're thinking talking athletics, but I'm not convinced that that's the only, but you are never too old. And this has been such a journey. There's been so much joy in all of it, lots of hard work, right? Some disappointment, some injuries, a toe along the way that hasn't done so well. I ran into a cement barricade in the middle of a training, whatever, all that good. But I just don't sit. There's just so much to get from starting. Let's just start with something, right? And then find someone else who you can share the journey with, even if it's somebody who just cheers you on, right? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I think that's absolutely wonderful, very powerful advice that you gave. And I'm just excited for other people to, like I said, no matter what season of life they find themselves in, just to hear this and to see their road ahead of what they can look forward to and find peace in the process. So I so appreciate you coming on, Shannon.